Hello, it's Thursday, December the 9th, and we are looking at the closing section of chapter 1 of Revelation from verse 12 through to 20. And it's a picture, a vision of Christ. It's a vision of the glory and beauty and splendor of Christ, seeing Christ for who he is. There's a voice that comes from behind him, and he turns and he sees 7 separate golden lampstands. They're not candlesticks, they're lampstands. And don't get sidetracked now with the lampstands. That's not the point. The point is there are 7 of them. So again, it's a perfect number. It's a symbol of completeness and so on. But what he sees with the aid of these lampstands is one like unto the Son of Man. And it's a vision that is similar to the one that you read of in Daniel chapter 7. It's what Jesus, I think, is alluding to when he uses the term Son of Man in the Gospels. And a heavenly being on the clouds to receive a mighty dominion. That's the vision of Daniel chapter 7. And Jesus is now being seen as fulfilling that grand vision. He's wearing a garment signaling perhaps not so much that he is a priest. That's not necessarily the intent here, but certainly somebody of massive importance. And white hair in verse 14, because he is the Ancient of Days, referred to again in Daniel 7 and verse 9, and a symbol of wisdom, and certainly in the first century a symbol of the dignity that comes with age. In verse 15, a reference to feet made of alloy. The ESV translates it as bronze, though we're not quite sure what metal is being referred to. It's only used twice in the Bible, this word, and both of them are in the book of Revelation. In verse 16, a reference to the 7 stars, repeated again in verse 20. The angels of the churches, but out of his mouth comes a sharp, 2-edged sword. And in verse 17, when I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead. It's a very similar experience, an undoing that Isaiah the prophet had in chapter 6 when he saw the Lord high and lifted up, and the seraphs saying, Holy, 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 Lord God of hosts, heaven and earth is full of his glory. John reacts to the holiness of the vision of Christ, and he falls down as though he was dead. The sense of sheer dread and horror at the purity of Christ and John's impurity. Even though he was a Christian, even though he was a believer, he was still a sinner still. And those beautiful words that Jesus speaks, fear not, for I am the first and the last. Fear not. One day you need to trace that through the Bible, all those occurrences where God comes and says, fear not. Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back again on Monday. We'll start in chapter 2 and the 7 letters to the 7 churches. Have a wonderful weekend.